Now, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like the CS2 devs haven't slowed whatsoever with updating CS2 despite the major beginning in just a little under a week. And with the most recent tournament organizer drama and the story behind it, some players began to think that Valve would actually take action and actually step in. But moments ago, we just got another blog, another day, another update. And as of right now, there's no mention of any sort of halt or any public notice about Starladder's sponsor for their major. And with also recent leaks through data mines suggesting a big update to the armory and gameplay is on the way, I personally, alongside many other data miners within the scene, think we're a lot closer than how the timeline of content appears. So today's video, we're gonna break down this brand new blog, discuss Valve's potential step in very soon, the story behind it, content reviving in the near future, alongside a bunch else. But before we go any further, I want to give a big thanks to SkinsMonkey for sponsoring today's video. Are you tired of your old and current Counter-Strike loadout and want to trade it out for something new? Well, SkinsMonkey has you covered. As a buying and trading marketplace, SkinsMonkey has a large variety of skins to choose from, giving you the ability to swap out skins with just the click of a few buttons. All you have to do is select the skins you no longer want, pick the ones you want to obtain, and then of course click trade. While doing so, be sure to use my code MANDO for up to a free $5 while trading, and the same goes with depositing on SkinsMonkey with their many different deposit options, where if you use my code while depositing, you get an additional 5%, making it 35% more of a deposit bonus and 35% more skins. And not to mention, they also offer daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways. Thanks again to SkinsMonkey for sponsoring today's video. Now, firstly for today's video is of course the blog post. We firstly got this blog out of the blue, then we got a tweet from CS2 devs, and it seems like there was actually more to this update than what meets the eye and what was on the blog. Because for Steam, which also, well, it does affect CS2, there was a brand new UI update, but more about that later. Now, I will say before we hop into the patch notes, this is kind of odd that Valve, in my opinion, is updating without any sort of notice, are talking too much about, well, the drama for the major, just a little under a week before the major. Not to mention updating the game at all, because usually before events, major or not, Valve doesn't really touch the game because they don't want to interfere with the event, make people and players roll back updates, you name it. But one of the things that's interesting with Valve when it comes to cosmetics, well, that doesn't interfere with gameplay, at least when new cosmetics are added, not when they're touching old and, well, just everyday game files. So those could very well be added sometime before, during, or even after the event. Now, for this most recent update last night, there's 4 different points with one category, that being miscellaneous. Valve fixed a case of observers experience incorrect post-processing effects when switching to observer targets. They also disabled True View while watching a live playcast to match on server observing experience. They fixed a wiggle at the end of the SG deploy animation, which they do have this name wrong, which is interesting. And there's also so-called stability improvements. Now, has this updated and improved FPS? From my testing and just this initial update, absolutely not. But I'm sure it's for more than what we can actually see. But it's interesting that there's no huge improvement, at least that we can see as of right now, but this is in the notes. And well, with that being said, that pretty much concludes, well, this most recent update. Now, in the second update, that was for CS2, but it was mainly about Steam's new inventory UI update. This, from my knowledge, first appeared from Osni CS, so links to this guy will be in the description. Now, he states that Valve changed the font and style of the info box for items, and you can also see the Steam market price of other people's items in their inventories, which I feel kind of two ways about this. One, it's awesome, glad to see it, but on the other hand of things, it's like one of those things that we feel like, I mean, I feel like anyway, we should have had at the launch of CS2, but I guess it's better late than never. And maybe is this Valve maybe cluing more people in that they want people to use the Steam market because of this update? And maybe because it's, well, been because people have used it more recently? I'm not sure. Now, as it stands for content coming soon, well, we know the armory is most likely going to get some sort of update in the near future because this doesn't really, well, affect or play into the game too much, especially while the major's on. So I suspect this update's most likely going to be sometime after the major. When the 75% off sale hits, we get the Champions capsule, players get a little bored of the game, Valve introduces us with maybe some gameplay changes, a new map, and, well, new skins. But because this most recent M4 as a limited time item got removed, Valve has been pretty good with this so far, where up until this item, they've pretty much replaced everything, well, right after another. This is the first time it hasn't happened. So I would expect that in the near future. And whenever that rolls out, I'm also suspecting that Valve is going to have a last chance banner for all the current collections that are currently in the armory, or which, because it is Valve, we have to talk about the other scenario where they're just replaced the same day. You say goodbye to those collections, you'll never see them again. Now, unlike skins where this is very possible to happen sometime very close before, during, or after the major, that being skins to come, as it stands for gameplay changes and updates to VAC, this is probably, and I'm going to say this is guaranteed not to happen until after the major, but here's why. Long story short, if this got rolled out during the event and the pro players, well, they're screwed if something goes wrong, which usually every update, whether it's big or small, will somehow affects the game, therefore could affect the event. So Valve, in my opinion, is going to hold off until sometime after the major. Now, also in the news, I quickly want to talk about the Starladder major drama and the most recent news behind it. Now, this is going to be a whole video itself, most likely tomorrow morning, but long story short, Starladder, the host of this Budapest major, they have Rollbit as their sponsor, an online casino, which goes against not just YouTube's, but also Twitch's TOS, and they have some really interesting and weird rules we haven't seen before with CS majors that have just been introduced, making it so pretty much no one can co-host this event, and it's interesting how this event is even going to be broadcasted live on on Twitch and YouTube in the first place. And because of that, most people thought this was going to be an update where Valve steps in because Starladder took this sponsor after they got selected to be the tournament organizer. So they waited until Valve picked them, until there was a point where they couldn't go back and reverse anything. And it makes sense why Valve isn't and can't do anything, because they're kind of at a standstill. They can't just cancel the major because everyone has their plans, that being spectators, pro players, and just players going to the event. Not to mention they've also sold the stickers already, so you can't really go back from this. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think about this most recent update and this most recent CS2 news. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positive, sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.